Welcome to episode 706 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games. That's right, it's another solo episode this week as Richard has been enjoying his time down at South by Southwest. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that next week. Always lots of interesting media things happening down at that crazy show. So let's get into some feedback because we do have a little bit of that. Our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. And this message this week is from David. This is for Richard, but I'm sure he's read the email. David says to Richard, "Hey, since Richard uses YouTube so much, I thought I would pass this along. I find myself using YouTube in the Chromium-based Brave browser. Brave is famous for being pretty aggressive regarding ads on websites, but this also applies to YouTube. It seamlessly removes the inserted ads by Google in videos. Also, it will play YouTube content in the background without disruption. As for downloading YouTube videos, well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad." That's a pretty nice suggestion from David. I have not tried the Brave browser on a desktop or on a phone, but this sounds like an interesting hack if you're trying to get away from the never-ending ads on YouTube. Okay, well, with that cool news, let's jump right into the news. If you want to hear the rest of our contact information, it will be at the end of the show and over at our website, www.thedigitalmediazone.com. So first up in the news, we always like to start with the video news and kind of another bummer story in the video streaming space this week. So Amazon is restructuring how they are organizing their features inside of Prime Video. The way it has always worked is, at least when it started, it was just, if you're a Prime subscriber, you get access to Prime Video. Here's the whole library. Then a couple of years ago, they added ads and then gave you an option to pay an extra $3 a month to get rid of the ads, something that Richard recently did. Well, they're changing things around again, and now they've got what they're calling the Prime Video Ultra add-on. And this is essentially a replacement to that ad-free add-on that has been working for the last few months. And so this does continue, if you subscribe to this add-on, you don't have to watch ads on most content. Now, that's not entirely true. If you're going to watch a live NFL football game, there will be ads during the breaks and stuff like that. But if you're just watching typical Prime Video TV shows and movies, this would eliminate ads for most of that. But that's not the only change here, because they're also going to make it so that if you want to continue to watch in 4K, you will need the Prime Video Ultra add-on. So that's the other big one here. There are a couple of other small tweaks. Previously, you could watch on 3 concurrent devices, and you could download 25 episodes of things. That's going up across the board. For base subscribers, if you don't have this Prime Video Ultra add-on, it's going up to 4 concurrent streams. But if you do have the Prime Video Ultra add-on, then it goes up to 5 concurrent streams. That's 5 people on one account watching from Amazon Prime Video at the same time. And then the other difference is the base service, they're going to allow you to download 50 things, and the Prime Video Ultra, you'll be able to download 100 things, which seems like a lot to me. I can't ever imagine downloading 100 things. I'll normally download a handful of episodes if I'm flying somewhere, or maybe a couple of movies. But now you can download 100 things. So hopefully you have enough storage on your iPad or your phone to hold that much content, because that's a ton. Okay, so that's the restructuring of the features. What about the cost? That's changing too. See, the Prime Video Ultra add-on, that's going to set you back $4.99 a month. So it used to be $3 a month just to get rid of the ads. Now it's $5 a month to get rid of the ads and to have access to 4K, because 4K is being removed from that base service. If that's sounding a little bit pricier, especially considering you're already paying $139 a year for an Amazon Prime subscription, well, there is one option to save a little bit of money on this. So if you do shell out for an entire year, you'll save 23%, because instead of paying $5 a month, you can have an entire year of Prime Video Ultra for $46, which, I don't know, when you put it that way, it sounds like kind of a lot. So let us know. I'm really disappointed that Richard couldn't be here for this episode, because as a guy who just recently paid the extra money for the ad-free service, I wonder what he's thinking about having to pay extra to also get the 4K, and if this is too much. Another thing that I just wondered about is, how does this impact the people who've already paid for a year of ad-free service in advance, like Richard did just a couple of months ago? So is he going to get grandfathered in to the Prime Video Ultra service? We will have to dig into that and follow up on that next week. So making the jump to audio stories now, Apple this week announced, finally, a successor to their AirPods Max headphones. Now, if you're having a hard time keeping track of what all of the different devices are that Apple puts out there, well, you're not alone. The AirPods Max are the big over-the-ear headphones that Apple sells. And those came out in 2020. So it does seem like it's been an excessively long period of time before we've gotten a true update and successor to those. They did back about a year and a half ago release an update to them that just replaced the Lightning charging port with the USB-C port. But other than that, we haven't really seen any updates to the AirPods Max until now. So creatively, these new ones are called the AirPods Max 2. Kind of joking about it being a creative name there, but it's good enough. And so what are you getting with these new ones? Well, the big thing is they have a new processing chip in them. They're using the H2 chip, which was also put into the AirPods Pro 2. And so what that really means is you're getting a lot of the features that are available in AirPods Pro 2 devices. Before we get into that, though, the other thing that changes here is there's a new amplifier for the speakers themselves. So that new amplifier should also produce improved audio quality across the board. But what does that new processor get you? Well, it gets you adaptive audio, which is the ability for the headphones to automatically figure out what's going on around you. Like if you start talking while you're listening to something with ANC on, then it's going to realize, oh, you probably want to hear what's going on in the world. So it will automatically switch to a transparency mode so that you can hear whoever it is that you're talking to. And then once you're done talking, switch it back to active noise cancellation. Again, it's a feature that AirPods Pro 2 has. It's also a feature that other headphone providers have. My Pixel Buds Pro 2 do the exact same thing. Another feature coming over to the AirPods Max 2 from the AirPods Pro 2 is live translation. It's a really neat feature. So that's a nice feature to have, especially with the cost of these headphones. They are the most expensive headphones that Apple makes, but fortunately, the cost of them is not changing with this new version. While they're still pricey, the price remains at $549 for the AirPods Max 2. This next story is for the hardcore audiophiles out there. I wonder how many hardcore audiophiles are also Spotify subscribers, but if that's you and you're a Windows user, Spotify's got some really good news for you. They are rolling out a new feature called exclusive mode. At least that's what it's called in Windows, because Windows is the first version of the app that will feature this functionality. Okay, so what does it do? Exclusive mode is the way to get bit perfect audio playback from Spotify. And the reason it's called exclusive mode is this is essentially what Windows has always called this sort of functionality, because what it does is allows Spotify to take exclusive control of your audio devices. And that means that Windows and every other app running on your Windows PC can no longer output audio while Spotify has exclusive control of everything. And you might be thinking, well, why would we want that? And why is that necessary for getting this bit perfect audio playback? And the reason is, well, Windows has automatic voice, or not voice, but audio processing built in. It has EQs built in that you can modify. It also has its own system sounds. When you get an email or some other notification, a Slack pop-up, or things like that, Windows is in control of playing back that audio sound, that noise, that notification, whatever it is. When you jump on a Zoom call, that's audio being processed by Windows. And the thing is, if Windows is doing that, then that means there is a possibility that Windows is modifying the audio that is coming from Spotify. So if you are looking to hear the absolute bit perfect representation of the audio coming from Spotify, you can turn on this exclusive mode to get that. There's a couple of other things you're going to want to be doing though, right? Like for sure, you're going to want to be a premium subscriber who is using the lossless playback mode. Otherwise, it's not really making much of a difference. Also, if you're just playing this out of tinny laptop speakers, then you're not going to notice a difference. You're really going to want to pair this with like a high-end DAC, a digital audio converter, and some really good wired headphones to notice the difference. Maybe if you've also got it paired with a, high-end reference home theater system, you might be able to tell the difference also. Most people, you're not going to tell the difference. Most people, you actually don't want to enable this because it does prevent Windows from doing other things. You won't hear the Outlook notification. You won't be able to participate in a Zoom call. You're going to have to shut down Spotify if you want to be able to do any of those things. So this is a pretty niche feature for a pretty niche use case. But if you are absolutely serious about getting bit perfect audio playback from Spotify, this is the way to do it. And right now it's only on Windows, but it will be coming to Mac OS soon. Last up, let's touch on some gaming news because last week was GDC, the Game Developers Conference. That D for developers is really critical when talking about anything coming out of GDC. This is a conference for game developers. It is not really a place to be showing off a bunch of games. It's for the people who are in the industry of making games to learn more tips and tricks and about what features are coming down the pipeline for them to use in their work of creating video games for us. But Microsoft did take this opportunity to make a kind of big announcement. First off, they've gone public with what the code name is for the next Xbox console. I'm really going to put a lot of emphasis there on the word console because Microsoft is too. They really want you to know the Xbox console is not dead. They're going to release another one, and it has a code name, and that code name is actually kind of good. It's Project Helix. I think it's a cool name. I wish that occasionally Microsoft would use their code names for the actual final product name because Helix is kind of a cool name. Xbox Helix would be kind of an awesome name, if I'm being honest. So in terms of what they're saying, in terms of hardware, it's not super surprising. It's going to be built on AMD-based system on a chip, which really means like an integrated GPU and CPU all in one piece of hardware. That's not really all that different from the last 2 generations of Xbox consoles. Both the Xbox One and the Xbox Series devices used AMD hardware like this. So it's just the newest iteration of that, which brings with it, newest versions of, all of their AI tools for frame generation and resolution scaling and all of those types of features. But the other thing that Microsoft officially made public during this announcement is it is a console, and it is a console that also plays PC games. This has been rumored for a while. We've seen screenshots of Xbox interfaces that had Steam icons and stuff like that. So it's not exactly surprising, but it is nice to hear them finally make the announcement that it is true. The next Xbox console will allow you to play PC games. And we've already heard the head of Epic Games say, hey, as soon as Microsoft allows us to put the Epic Game Store on an Xbox console, we're going to be there. You have to imagine Steam will be there too. And hopefully most of the other big players will be there. Of course, Battle.net will be, since Microsoft owns that. But will we see GOG? Will we see Ubisoft and EA and so many other stores? It's possible. And that could lead to some really cool possibilities for what you can do with an Xbox. Of course, it leads to tons and tons of questions. How usable will it be? Will it be a pain in the butt to keep all of this stuff running? What about the cost? If it's a PC, is it going to be really, really, really expensive? It might. The other piece of information that we got out of GDC is that they're not even going to be giving development kits to game developers until next year. And they didn't even say a time frame for next year, just 2027. Does that mean that there's no chance that the next Xbox console comes out in 2027? No, it doesn't mean that. In fact, with the Xbox One generation, development units went out for that in the spring of 2013, and then the console launched in full in the fall of 2013. And since Microsoft guidance to all of these game developers is essentially just make your game as if you're targeting PC, and that'll get you most of the way there to building an Xbox game, well, most of these developers are doing that already, right? So they can do that, then get their hardware fairly. I mean, ideally, you'd want to get it as early in the development process as possible. But if you get it a little bit later, you're still just at the point of introducing tweaks and refinements and polish at that point to make it run more smoothly and more optimized for the Xbox console hardware. So still lots and lots and lots to learn about what the next Xbox console will be. But now we know its code name, we know it's built on AMD hardware, and we know that whenever you do get to purchase one of these, you're going to be able to play PC games on it too. And that's pretty exciting. Okay, so that's it for our news this week. We do like to talk about what is going on in our entertainment centers. And for me, on the gaming side, obviously a little bit of NHL, but then also Cyberpunk 2077 finally landed on Xbox Game Pass. And so I've installed it, I've opened it, I've played it for about an hour and a half. So that's not very much for a game that you could easily spend well over 100 hours in. But so far, I'm really impressed by how they've implemented this as a first-person based role-playing game. It's pretty cool, and I'm totally understanding why there was so much hype about this game. So hopefully going to find some more time over the weekend and coming days to play more of that, because so far I'm really, really enjoying Cyberpunk 2077, which sounds like an insane thing to say in 2026. This game came out in 2020, I think, maybe 2021. Nope, I think it was 2020. So I am really late to the game on Cyberpunk, but I'm excited to finally be getting to play it. The one downside to this is while Cyberpunk is on the Xbox and you can play it on PC, it is not in the Microsoft Store, which means that it is also not an Xbox Play Anywhere game, which I'm really disappointed about. Like, I've got a Lenovo Legion Go gaming handheld, and I'm really loving the Xbox Play Anywhere experience where I can install a game on my Xbox and my Legion Go and be able to quickly swap between devices if I just want to play on the couch holding my handheld or playing my Xbox hooked up to my gaming monitor or wherever I just happen to have my Xbox at the time. So disappointed that I can't experience Cyberpunk at least natively running on both devices, but I guess that's where game streaming comes in because I can just stream from my Xbox to my Legion Go through the Xbox app on Windows. Okay, what about movies? No actual movies. TV, of course, up to date on The Pitt. Slowly starting to catch up on Paradise Season 2. We're either through episode 2 or 3. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's 3. I'm not in love with this episode or with this season. I've really enjoyed season 1 of Paradise. I am not loving season 2. I've told Jen I'm going to give it one more episode, and if I'm not fully hooked by the end of episode 3 of season 2, I might just tell her that she can watch the rest of this without me because it just hasn't really been that great in my opinion. So, and then one other thing that I've been watching, I've been talking a lot over the last few months about, maybe I shouldn't watch things that are so depressing. I need to be focused on my mental health and all of that. So when I was looking for something to watch while on the treadmill, just going through the different apps that I have access to, opened up HBO. Oh yeah, Chernobyl. I've always wanted to watch that miniseries on HBO. Why? Why am I picking the depressing stuff? Because I make bad choices, that's why. But it's really well done. This is a really, really well done show. I believe the writer is also the guy who was the writer for The Last of Us as a TV show. And while I don't love season 2 of The Last of Us, I think he has done a good job of, especially season 1 was fantastic. And he's done a good job, even in season 2, of keeping with the storyline and stuff. I just didn't think that I didn't love The Last of Us Part 2 as a video game either, and I think the show is worse because of that. So, Chernobyl, really interesting portrayal of just what happened in Chernobyl. It's been an interesting learning experience and really, really well produced miniseries on HBO Max. And then in books, my book club is reading Theo of Golden. This is a relatively new book by the author Alan Levi. It's incredibly popular. If you want to get this from the library, you're probably going to be waiting weeks, if not months. Fortunately for me, the audiobook version is also on Spotify. So that is how I've been listening. And fortunately, it's less than 15 hours. So I can complete it within 1 month and don't have to wait for that 15-hour streaming credit to swap over to the next month to continue listening. I'm loving this book. If Chernobyl is all the wrong things for my mental health, Theo of Golden is all of the right things for my mental health. I'm going to hold off on saying much more about the book until I finish it, I think. But overall, this book, I am loving this book. This is already easily making the case as the front runner for my book of the year. And it is only March, but it's that good. It is that enjoyable. So if you're if you're at all interested in that based on what I've said, look it up. Again, it's called Theo of Golden. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. If you want to get a hold of us, we are on social media. I'm still on X, Josh Pollard there. I'm also Josh Pollard on Blue Sky. I would rather talk to you all on Blue Sky. The less often I open Twitter, the better, especially for my mental health. Richard is primarily over on Mastodon. He's at Richard Gunther on Mastodon. He is on Blue Sky, richardgunther.com over there. But that's going to do it for episode 706. I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0 Adios.